Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence. Today I wanted to talk about the four feature films that are directed, produced and helped to write or whatever in the year 2021. That's 4 feature films in the year 2021. These films are A Sheffield Psychedelic, A Wish Eye on Polynesia, Scorched Earth and Connie Lynn. Right? So we're going to go through each one and we're going to talk a little bit about the filming process, about the writing process and the general production cycle and how we were able to do 4 films in 1 year. We're kind of cheating a little bit because one of them we did in a week and that was a challenge and we'll get to that. The first one is a film called A Sheffield Psychedelic, which I began working on in November the year before, so ever so slightly cheating it, right? We filmed it in April. And we recorded it over the course of 6 days. That was the main block of filming. And it was one of those where we wake up, we film, we go to sleep, we wake up, we film, we go to sleep, we film, right? And we did it from Monday through to Saturday. And we recorded it in Chesterfield, Sheffield and Rotherham. And it set a general precedent for the films that we're going to do going forwards, which was we wanted to do quick-paced multi-camera setups, which would allow for faster filming processes and it would allow us to do things more efficiently. And I think we got a pretty good deal out of making A Sheffield Psychedelic in 6 days. It's a film that is just really sort of down to earth, but also a little bit wacky in various places. And I really enjoyed doing the actual production of it. However, it was incredibly hectic. It was a lot of staying up really late and then waking up really early and then continuing on that way. And a lot of it came down to figuring out how we were going to do these multi-camera setups, which was, say, if I had multiple cameras right now, we would have one there, and then we might have one here, and we might have one here, and we could capture the whole scene in one setup, and then we could do 3 takes, bam, that's the scene done, right? Or if there's a more complicated scene, say if I got up and I wandered off, right? Or if I went up down here, you know, I would get lots done and we would be able to do multiple things in fewer setups. Because the thing that I hated the most when I was working on various films, not just for myself but for other people, was the burden that comes from just doing one camera at a time. Right? And this was at least my mindset at the time. I think now I've kind of warmed up a little bit to the single camera setup, but at the time I was very much of the mindset of it just wastes so much time having to do these little things. Right, having to set up a camera and then break it all down and then move it somewhere else and then build it back up. I remember being on this one shoot which was all set in a bedroom and it had this scene where someone comes in through the door and they're leaning at the door talking to someone that sat on the bed, and then that person that was leaning through the door, they walked in and they sat at the desk, right? Seems like fairly simple a setup, right? That scene took 4 hours to shoot. Right? Because we would set it up and we would light it and then we would do the stuff at the door and then we'd move and then we had to move all the lights and then we had to figure out how to make the lighting consistent, and you know, and then we had to do the reverse shot of the woman sat on the bed, and then there were like little in shots of like him picking up a glass and all this random shit, and it just took so long. It got me thinking, we don't need to do things like this. We could do things so much more efficiently. You could have one camera on her, one camera at him at the door, and another camera at him when he sits down, right? Bam, done. And that's kind of how we worked. We would do multi-camera setup, sometimes even splitting up into 2 units. So one group of people would go off and film one scene, and another group of people would go off and film another scene. And then we would reconvene, and then we would film another scene. And we would do things that way. And it did work. It was pretty... I don't want to necessarily say it was a unique way of filming, but it was at least a new way of filming for me and for a lot of the people that were working with us. And it allowed us to figure out what went right and what went wrong with that style of filming. And the main thing that went wrong with that style of filming was trying to do it over the course of 6 days without giving ourselves a single break, because it meant by the end we were all tired. The whole crew was just a bit sick and tired of doing this day in and day out. And so we started working on another feature film called Scorched Earth, where we managed to fix this up. And we split it into 2 blocks rather than 1, and these 2 blocks were spaced out 2 weeks apart. And what we did was we filmed 2 days and then we had a day off more or less, and then we did another 2 days, and then we took 2 weeks off, and then we came back and we did 2 days, and then we had a day off, and then we did another 2 days. And that really fixed the main problem, which was the ever-growing threat of burnout. And the fact that by day 5 and 6 of A Sheffield Psychedelic, we were just so sick and tired of doing this. doing it that way and giving ourselves that day off really just made everything so much cleaner and smoother. And that was a really good decision, right? I'm really glad that we decided to go that route. And we replicated that exact type of setup for the next feature film that we did, which was called Connie Lynn. And we did a very similar thing of doing 2 days and then having a day off and then doing 2 days. And then we took a break for a couple of weeks and then we came back and we did 2 days and then had a day off and then did 2 days. And I think that if you wanted to make a feature film in a short space of time, what I would recommend is to do it in this way. Set yourself 2 weeks, right? 1 week maybe at the start of the month and then another week at the end of the month, right? And then film Monday through Wednesday, have a day off, and then do Friday and Saturday. And then do it again on the following week that you do maybe 2-3 weeks down the line. And it will make everything so much smoother and simpler, right? It will make people less wary to burnout. It will make people less tired and groggy throughout the day. It will make you more efficient and interested in the stuff that you're making. You're gonna end up making such better content if you do things this way. At least I find. Because you can make films really, really quickly. The folk filmmaking movement, which if you don't know is this sort of thing that started out in the pandemic, where a load of people that just had big fuck-off cameras, and not necessarily big fuck-off cameras, some people just use their phones, but they wanted to make feature films and they wanted to make them now. Not, you know, writing them out and doing loads of plans and figuring it all out. They wanted to get it done now. And when they did that, they realized that they could make a feature film in like a day or a week or a month, right? And this leads me to the fourth film that we did in the course of 1 year, which is called I Wish I Were in Polynesia, which was my attempt at making a folk film in this vein. I set myself the challenge of making a feature film, begin filming it on the Monday and release it on the Sunday, right? So we filmed Monday and Tuesday, and then we did a couple little mini reshoots on the Thursday, and everything else was dedicated to working on the score and to editing the thing, right? And that involved me doing all-nighters on the Friday and the Saturday to actually get the thing actually done, which meant me sleeping for about 4 hours about midday. But we did just about manage to get it done. We just about managed to get the thing finished. And look, I'm not going to say I Wish I Were in Polynesia is particularly good. It's nowhere near as intricate as, say, the other 3 films that we did across the year. But at the end of the day, it proves that you can make a feature film in 1 week, right? You can even make a feature film in a day, as Joel Haver's 3-hour Oscar challenge has proven. You can make a film in 3 hours, right? You can get this stuff done. You can make things in a really efficient way without losing and sacrificing quality, right? I sacrificed quality if I Wish I Were in Polynesia because I was a talentless hack. But if I was to try that same experiment now, I think it would yield much better results. That's not necessarily to say I'm going to do it anytime soon, but if I was to do it, what I would probably do is do some really basic setup with 2 actors and make some kind of documentary-esque thing where we could use multiple cameras and not have to worry about getting the other person in the shot, the other cameraman in the shot. And we would try and work things that way and make some kind of fun mockumentary type thing. We need some kind of hook, some kind of story, and we'd figure out how to do that along the way. But with the main style of film that we were doing across the year, which was going up north, and or going into the countryside, booking an Airbnb, staying there for a week, and then filming for 4 days of that week, I think it was a really efficient and really interesting way of making films. And it's just one way of making films. You can make a film in many, many different ways. You make it in your local area, which is what my mate John Henry does. He does, you know, local shoots where he does 1 day on the Monday the 1st, and then another the next Monday, and then another the week after that. You know, whenever he's got time off work or whatever, and he just kind of works it around his work schedule like that. Or you can set yourself a big block, take some annual leave, and just make a big block and just do it all in that one big block. And either method is completely valid. You can do things in any which way you choose. And I just think that having made 4 films in the space of a year, it just sort of goes to show that you can make a lot more things than you think. And the reason that I'm making this video is that the final one of those films, The Sheffield Psychedelic, is finally ready to be released. It went through a long development hell during the edit. And a lot of that entirely, pretty much all of that is my fault. Right? It could have easily come out in the year 2022 when Scorched Earth and Connie Lynn came out, but it didn't. It's coming out in the year 2025. And I've made a long 2.5 hour behind the scenes making of documentary that goes into all the details of that. So if you buy the DVD, then you'll be able to watch the documentary. Or if you wait, like a few months when the DVDs sell out and you know it's not making me any money anymore, then you can probably watch it on YouTube when I've kind of given up. Because that's what ends up happening, is that people put things out and they try and get it into some kind of streaming platform, or they try and get it this, that and the other, some distribution deal, and then they realize they can't get any of that, so they just chuck it on YouTube. I'm just skipping all of that. I'm releasing it on the DVD, and then after that I'm going to put it on YouTube. And outside of that, that's pretty much the whole release cycle of Sheffield Psychedelic. And with that, it finishes up this mission to make 4 films in a year, which admittedly, we didn't really make 4 films in a year if one of them is being released 4 years after the fact. But the point is that we filmed them all in the year 2021. And I'm just so proud of every single person that was involved in all of these films. There's like 100 names to give off there. I can't rattle them all off the top of my head. There's so many people, but I will say Jethro Randall, Lee Westwick, Harry Crawford, Jonathan Kilcourse, Charlotte Elizabeth Langley, Kate Hargrave, Solomon, I can't remember his name, Matt and Alex, Stephen Shaw, I'm trying to think of some more. This is why I didn't want to start rattling off names, because now everyone that hasn't gotten a name check is going to feel bad. But I'm sorry if I didn't list your name off. There's a lot of names that went into this. There's so many people that put their hard time and hard graft into this film, and I'm so thankful to everyone that dedicated their time to these crazy ideas and these crazy experiments. And it's just been such a wonderful journey to get this stuff done, and it is now pretty much done, and we can move forward to a new chapter of filmmaking, which for me personally is going to be documentaries. I want to start making documentaries, little sort of 5-10 minute type things, light fluffy entertainment. And also I want to maybe make some behind the scenes sort of retelling the stories and making some of these projects, telling some stories from the past in a more edited and interesting kind of fashion. I think that would be quite fun and satisfying. But that's all down the line, vague ideas yet to be fulfilled, empty promises at the end of the day for now. But for now, we've just got this video. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching this video, everybody. I hope that you've taken some of the ideas that I've given you in this video, and you've gone and explored the possibilities for yourself, right? If you can make a film in 6 days or film it in a week and release it in a week, you can do anything. So why don't you just go out there and do anything, right? Because the world is your oyster, the whole world is in front of you, and there's so many films yet to be made, and it's up to you to make them. So that's going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Take care, and bye-bye.